Good morning all, I'm Henu Malini. Today we are going to cover advanced topics of sales in Tally, advanced sales capabilities. So as you know that we have seen various topics in our previous session related to sales process. Today we are going to learn a few things related to advanced sales capabilities like selling prices, how to define in Tally, actual and billed quantity, how to define, multi-buyer addresses. So if your buyer has more than one address, how to enable multi-addresses in Tally, and how you can see in the sales document as well as in the delivery note and invoice. And we so far have been using all the ledger names that came up while making the invoices. Now, how to use the only common ledger in the sales process, that we will be showing through demonstration in Tally, as well as default ledger. Default ledger, how to select and how to use it in the item master, that will be covered, as well as the voucher classes. So, we want to change the default behavior of a voucher. So, how we can use these voucher classes. With voucher classes, we can also automate many tasks as well. So, a common requirement for every businessman is they will use a different VAT rates when they are billing the single invoice. How we can do it in a single invoice through voucher class will be shown. And I will be covering today some other best features where users were asking for serial numbers, how to feed in Tally. So what are the best features which are available to feed the same, I will be showing. And also the important reports which are commonly used and very useful reports for every businessman, like invoice-wise profitability report which we can pull through the sales register, and item-wise profitability report which we can show through stock summary, and also a stock query report, which is a powerful summary statement for any stock item where you can see. And you can navigate gateway of Tally from statements of inventory, you can see the stock query report. So these are the advanced capability of sales process which we are going to show you today in a product, as well as I am going to share the PowerPoint slides before starting the demonstration in Tally. So, advanced sales capabilities. So, I'm going to cover each slide. So, we will recap the sales process. The sales process consists of these blocks, like sales order. You know that once we will raise the order, we'll be tracking through the delivery note, and we'll be tracking the delivery note through the sales invoice, including POS. And sales return, which is nothing but your rejection in and credit note. So these are the sales process consists of 5 major blocks. And as I just told you how to define a selling price rate. There are many ways to set the selling rate. Highly fluctuating prices, for example, you know the commodities like steel, eggs, pulses, gold, etc. The prices change daily, even many times in one day. So, what is the best way to set the selling price? So, that we will be showing in the product. For such products, the best is how to set a selling rate. So, I will be showing you through the scenarios. The second one is prices that change slowly. You may know that in the market, the prices will change, vary from one product to the other product. It is on a items with MRP like toothpaste or which have bread or some soaps or FMCG products, all which have printed MRP on the labels. Then differential prices. We know that we have a wholesale and retail markets, and how to define the prices for wholesale and retail sectors. Selected at time of the sale. When you are passing the sale invoice, how to select that, I'll be showing. And how when we assign to customers in customer master, how it will be there. So preventing price changes. How we will prevent these price changes? You know that from 1st April to till 1st June there will be some price, and from 1st June to till December there will be some other prices for the same product. How we will be covering this, I will be showing in the product. Now actual and billed quantities. Actual and billed quantities, how to enable, how to create a delivery note for buying 10 members and getting 12, and check the stock. What is the stock position and the value? We will be shown some of the examples. Multiple buyer addresses. Why this is needed? So multiple buyer address is required. For example, if a buyer is having more than one particular godown. For example, your buyer will have one address for his business, and he have multiple addresses for his warehouses like godowns. He can ask you to deliver to any of them. The documents that accompany the goods must clearly state the buyer and consignee to addresses. Let us how we will see or configure in Tally. I will be showing. Enter the addresses of each customer in the ledger master and select the consignee and buyer addresses. You can see the same in the printouts. So common ledgers of the accounting vouchers. For this we will enable VAT as an optional, enable common ledgers, set the default sales ledger in the invoice, and set the default VAT class in invoice, create invoice. So I open and switch to as a voucher mode, how it will look I will be showing, as well as default ledgers. So default ledgers are the accounting voucher. So same like common ledgers, we will be setting the default ledgers through item master and VAT class for the item master, and we are creating the invoice for the same. So automatic tax ledgers, how it all appear, altering the sales invoice, we will add a class, and based on the default accounting allocation for a stock item or VAT commodities, a little on VAT and CST we will be covering today. So these are some of the best advanced sales capabilities which are available in Tally. Apart from this, we are going to show how to export the sales invoice, how to print, and a few more options. So we will take one by one now in the product. I will be showing setting the selling prices, the first thing. So we are using a company, and I am creating an inventory info stock item first. So to create the commodity, one has to go to Gateway of Tally, inventory info, stock items. So item I am creating now as gold. Gold is the stock item. Units of measure we will be taking in a grams. So let us see in the product how I am going. So we are navigating through Gateway of Tally, inventory info, stock items, item creation. I am going to use gold KDM. That is my stock item. I am going to create a unit as a grams. So gold will measure through grams. So we are, or kg also. So we will be taking as a grams here. Accept. Right. Now what we will do? We are going to pass one particular sale invoice. So to go to the sale invoice, one has to navigate from Gateway of Tally, accounting vouchers, press F8 to get the sales invoice in Tally. So press F8, or you can just click on the button F8 which is available on the right hand side in the button bar. So we are creating a party ledger here. Party A, who is our customer. So I will be grouping under sundry debtors. Maintain bill by bill F, and sales ledger, it is available already. So gold KDM. So quantity I am giving as 250 grams. Each gram costs 2,500 rupees. So per gram it is 2,500. The total value is appearing on the invoice. We are setting the selling rate as 2,500 per gram. So this is our normal sale invoice. So what is the selling price we have defined? It is 2,500. So now what we will do? We will now make an invoice and set the selling price for the same buyer in another invoice. Now what we will do? We will go to accounting vouchers. I am selecting the same party ledger here. Sales. Gold KDM is our item. Now I am giving the quantity as 100. Automatically the rate is capturing, selling rate is capturing as 2,500 rupees. This is one of the best feature where you can see the rate automatically appears if you are selling to the same customer. So this is the one way how the selling rate will capture automatically. Similarly, when we are making the invoice for the other party, for example, it is party B, who is again a different customer to us, and I am selecting the sales ledger. Same item we are selecting and giving 50 grams. Now you can see the magic. The 2,500 rupees is automatically fetching from the invoice which we have already been used the same rate. The buyer is different, whereas the item is same, still the rate is automatically capturing. These are the two scenarios. You can see how you can sell the product to your customers which are earlier sold to the different party. In case of products, like how I told, prices are not stable. Like say for example toothpaste. For example, we have an item called Dabur toothpaste. We will create an item called Dabur toothpaste. So what we will do for Dabur toothpaste, 200 grams, we will set so prices will not be constant. And we will set one price from 1st April and another from 1st November, as I told. To enable that, to define, for example, in the market, if prices are fluctuating, like today the price will be 200, tomorrow my price of the item will be 250. How to define the same in Tally? We are going to show you now. So press F12 in the item master, enable the option allow standard rates for stock items. This is the best feature which is available for any fluctuating product in the market. You can define the rates as per the date applicable from. We are taking an example of 1/4/2014. The rate is 200 for the commodity. From 1st November, the rate will vary. That is 300 rupees per member. Now we will see. I am passing the transaction on 2nd of April. Then I am selecting 500 members. Automatically the rate is capturing as 200. We have seen the variation earlier. Like we are making for the same buyer, the rate captured for the gold is 2,500 rupees. When we are selling for the other buyer, for the same stock item, the rate has captured as 2,500. Now, in this scenario, Dabur toothpaste, we have defined the standard rate in sales, where the sales automatically capture the rate which we have defined in the item master. That is 200 rupees, which is there as on till 1st November. Then I am making the invoice for 1st November. Assume that we are making invoice on 10th November. Assume. So I am selecting the party, sales, Dabur toothpaste. I am giving 600 number. The rate automatically will take us 300 rupees. From 1st November onwards, the rate fluctuating is 100 rupees, which we have already given in the item master is capturing automatically in the invoice. So we have seen 4 scenarios as of now, how we have defined the sales prices. Now we have to know there will be a different rate for different classes of customers, typically wholesale and retail. How we will do that in Tally, we'll be showing. We first enable price list, enabling price levels from gateway of Tally. You have to press F11, go to inventory features. Here you have an option called under sales management, use multiple price levels. So once you set the option to yes, the user can define the price levels as many as. So we will define here as wholesale and retail. So wholesale and retail. So now we will be shown how we can enable the price list. So the price list you can show for the groups as well as for the stock categories. So we will take a wholesale price from 1st April 2014 for the item less than 100 members, the rate will be 500, and discount if necessary you can give. And 100 to 500, the rate will be 1000 rupees. And from 500 and so forth, it will be 1500 rupees. This is the price list we are defining for the price level wholesale in Tally. Now, what will happen while passing the invoice, how these rates will get captured, we will be showing. So once you enable the price list, you have to accept the screen. Now when you go to accounting vouchers, so select the party. When you enable the price level, automatically the price level option will be shown in the invoice where you need to select wholesale price and sales ledger. So we have defined item for 100 members, the rate will automatically capture as 1000 rupees. If I am selecting as 50, the rate will capture as 500. If it is more than 500, for example, say 650, automatically it is. So let us see how we have created by navigating from gateway of Tally inventory info price list. So you can select the date, you can select the appropriate stock group or category, and you can define the price levels in Tally. And once we have done with this, you observe one thing here, like you will be presented with the screen to enter the prices. There are many capabilities you can see for the price level. You can set the slab prices both as a rate or as a discount as I shown on the standard rates. In some businesses the slab rate works best, in some it is the rate. So for our example, we have defined the slab rates as well as the percentage. So what we will do now? So we will be given one more, we will be showing one more thing, how Tally automates the rates based on the configuration which we have done. So party wise, how we can set the price levels. So if you want to automate the price level, how we can define to the specific customer. For example, my party is a wholesale customer. So how we will define for him as a wholesale? Always when a customer comes, he is a wholesale customer, and price level automatically captures the rate from the price level wholesale. We need not to go and take the cursor and press. So you can automatically, you can set the price level in the master itself. So when I go to accounts info ledger alter, When I'm saying party A, you have an option here, pricing level applicable. Maybe my customer, party A, is a wholesale customer for me. So I always set this option to wholesale. Whenever I am passing an invoice, the party A will list only the wholesale prices which are defined in the price level. So what we will do, accounting vouchers, when I am selecting party A, automatically you can observe under price level, we have not selected the price level, automatically wholesale has come and set. So when I am selecting the item, the rates will capture automatically for the particular stock item from the price list. The price level is automated to the party. So he is a wholesale customer to me. As soon as I select the party, the price level will capture, and the items when we are selecting, we get the quantity, automatically the rate will set here. So this is nothing but the selling prices. And the next topic, we are going to cover actual and billed quantities. So actual and billed quantities. So I want to tell you a brief example here, how Tally came to incorporate the business needs for actual and billed quantities. For example, when we go to a shop to buy material for a trouser, also called pant, we ask for 1.2 meters length. The shopkeeper finds that he has the last length available, which is 1.5 meter. He gives you the 1.5 meter and says the payment needs to be made for 1.2 meters only. So in that case, how we will show in Tally? Through sales bill. If he bills for 1.2 meters, he will have a stock mismatch. If he reduces the selling price, the customer will get confused. By enabling actual and billed quantities, we can manage these cases in Tally. So, for example, as I told, a short story also, I just now explained, the unit used, whatever we are using, it could be kg or meter, so it has its own property. So, when the length is not, it is less. When you are asking for a less quantity, when the customer is having more, then how we will affect by the actual quantity, and what is the financial impact on the billed quantity, we will be seeing in the Tally. So to enable actual and billed quantity in Tally, one has to go to F11 features, inventory features, and you need to enable the option use a different actual and billed quantity under storage and classification. So once you enable this option in the sale invoice, you can see two columns, particularly actual and billed. Now what we will do, we'll select party. Units number. Rate 250. So actually the value is only 2,500. It is only taking for the billed quantity 10 into 250, which is 2,500. So it is not considering the two numbers. It is considering the billed quantity of 10 numbers in the stock summary report, whereas the quantity is showing as 12 numbers and the value is reflecting as a 2,500, which it is considered only for the 10 numbers. So this is how we can set the option. We can see the bill total is computed and to see the stock position. So in the invoice. Now I am going to discuss on the other topic. So that is, as I told you, multi-buyer addresses. So multi-buyer addresses, your buyer will have more than one address where you can enable the multi-buyer addresses and how to enter these addresses of each customer. And you have to select the consignee and buyer addresses. You can see the same in the print documents. So how we will do that? So multiple addresses to enable, one has to enable in the F11 configuration under accounting features. When you press F11 accounting features, you have an option here as maintain multiple mailing details for company and ledgers. So enable this option to yes. So you will get always a primary address type. So primary address type, for example, we can provide Gandhinagar, Miryalguda, Hyderabad. Okay. So this is my primary address for the ACM company. And address type, I can select as address 1 for my godown. The mailing name will be ACME. Address is number 22, North St. France, Bangalore. Okay, these are my addresses which I have set while doing in the configuration in F11. Now we will see how we can use these multiple addresses in the company as well as on the ledgers. So now we will create one new ledger master. So master party C under Sunday Vedas, where you can define the bill-wise bill is, and you can see here F12 you have to enable use multiple addresses. So once you enable the use multiple addresses, you get an option set or alter multiple mailing details. Set this option to yes. It will ask for the address type. You give address 1. So you can define the address here for the mailing address, that is ACME 29/7. You can define your own godown addresses. Somajikuda, Hyderabad. Like that you can define one more address. How many addresses you want, you can define it in Tally. And the same you can see in the invoice and the printout. So address 2. So ACME Dilshut. So it is Dilshut Nagar, near Kotapet, Hyderabad. So we have defined two addresses for the party. This party is having two addresses. So when I am selecting party C, here you can see the buyer details. So allow separate buyer and consignee names. You will set that option to yes. So party C address 1 should come. It is come. And my party C secondary address I am typing for the buyer and consignee. So both the addresses you can see here. Sales. And this is my item where I have 100. So the same you can see in the printout. So my consignee address and my buyer address are different. If other than consignee, the same, see, ACME, it is Gandhinagar, Miryalguda, Hyderabad, which we have defined in F11 feature for the company. And my consignee is different and my buyer address, where it is showing correctly. So address A, address B. So it will be shown on the printouts. So these will be printed in the appropriate documents too. Next option, we are going to see common ledgers. So common ledgers, ledgers of the accounting vouchers. So we have been ignoring the ledger names that came up while making invoices. The invoice is a transaction that impacts the various ledger accounts. As you know, these are the accounting vouchers. When making a sales transaction, since this makes more sense in the context of the taxes, let us ensure VAT is enabled in the company. Note that VAT is not needed to use the default ledger feature, but most of the customers will have VAT enabled. So we will see in the product now how do we enable VAT from Gateway of Tally and create an item invoice, ensure that we have common ledger account for item allocation option, which we need to set that option to yes. We'll select the appropriate sales ledger to which all the sales is to be accounted, and we'll select a VAT class, bill more than one item, and we'll observe the flow of the invoice. And also, I'll be showing the accounting voucher view. So how it looks when it is the voucher mode, how it looks when it is in the item invoice mode. So what we need to do, we have to create the items which need to be accounted in the same sales ledger and have the same tax percentage. What if we want to record sales item into different ledgers? That also we'll be seeing through default ledgers. Now, the main thing is now we are going to cover common ledger. So how we will go about it in Tally, I'll be showing now. So common ledger, the option to enable common ledger, one has to go to sales invoice and one has to enable the option in F12 configuration, use common ledger for item allocation. When I'm selecting no that particular option, you can see the difference here. Only the party name is existing. When I'm selecting the party here, when I'm selecting the item, example quantity, so it keeps asking me which list of sales ledger I need to select. Here you need to select. But the option commonly you can use for all the items in the item allocation screen is common ledger we can use. Now, this is the invoice which I am showing you right now, where when you enable the option use for common ledger account for item allocation, there is a separate option which is available in the invoice as a sales ledger. Okay, so what we need to do, we have to do F11, statutory and taxation, we have to go enable VAT here, and what we will do, we will come to accounting vouchers, F12, where use common ledger account for item allocation, we will set it as S. So now I will be selecting cash, not applicable. Now you can see. So I want to use for all the items same sales invoice. So same sales ledger. For example, I want to use sales at 4% for all the items. In that case, I can select that option, sales accounts, use VAT and classification, and set that option to yes. Use VAT returns and the sales at 4%. I am selecting here. This is the common ledger I will use for all the items now. And similarly, we have VAT or tax class, which is sales at 4%. So I'll be selecting one item here, item at 4%. So which is numbers. So 100 quantity at the rate of 250, and if I have output VAT ledger, I can create output VAT at 4%. Under duties and taxes, VAT, output VAT. So at 4% I am selecting. So now you can see here the common ledger allocated for this particular invoice is sales at 4% and output VAT at 4%. So when I am selecting for any item, the common ledger which we are using for this particular invoice is sales and VAT, output VAT. And we are going to show you how the default ledgers to be allocated from the item master. So in introducing the default ledgers, I'm going to show you how we will configure the same in the Tally. So what we will do now, we will create an item, stock item. So while creating itself, I will tell you item. If you know the item, you can directly specify item at 12% or 12.5%. It is identically, if you want, you can select it. Item at 5% if I am selecting. We don't have any option here to select the default ledger in the item invoicing. When I am pressing F12, we have a provision in Tally where specify default ledger allocation for invoicing. You need to set this option to yes. And you can see the separate field here. So when I set the option to yes, so you have a default accounting allocation for sales invoice. Now what we will do, we have sales at 5%, which will come under sales accounts. So use for VAT return yes. Sales at 5% will be selecting. This is the default ledger for that item now. So similarly you can use for purchase if you have. So when I go to accounting vouchers, when I select sales at 5%, so provided you have to disable the option common ledger for item allocation. So when I am selecting item at 5, automatically the sales at 5% is capturing. This we have set it in the item master. We have not selected here. Automatically the sales ledger will by default it will select for the item. This is nothing but the default ledger allocation for the stock item. And we see how it works with the voucher classes. When I am selecting the class default ledger, the behavior as per the voucher will get changed. So what we will do now? So we will go to particular voucher type, sales voucher type. So name of the class I will be selecting as, I will be giving as a class, and exclude include we don't have. Now I will select sales is, for example, we will be selecting sales at 1%. Okay, 100. So now default accounting allocation for stock item I have shown. So we will select here stock item. For example, my item I am selecting sales at 14%, and I will select the other item I'll select here. Rubber toothpaste. Here I will be selecting for sales at 12.5%. Now similarly we can select output VAT at 14%. So which we will be creating under duties and taxes. So which is VAT on VAT rate. Similarly, output VAT at 12.5%. So on VAT rate. So we have defined two items here. One is item and one is rubber toothpaste. So we have selected, we have defined already in the class. So now what we will do? We'll go to accounting vouchers, press F8, select the class. Automatically the output or default tax ledgers are showing here. And when we select the item at 250, which is taking automatically 14%, and selecting Dauber toothpaste from 50 members, which is we can set for any number of stock items, any number of rates. So it is automatically capturing 12.5% as well as item, and I am selecting, it is automatically capturing 14% rate. So like this you can set in the voucher class the default ledgers which you need to select for the classes. And we have a separate concept for CST. So where you can create a CST, a separate class, and you can use the CST which is chargeable at 2%. Similarly, we can show when creating the invoices, you need to select only the appropriate class to a customer who are liable to pay the CST. That is, once we go to accounting vouchers, voucher types, alter, we go to the sales. So now we have created one voucher class as you have seen already. Now the other class I will take end of list. Here, ledger name. So we will select as sales. Sales, you have to take the VAT classification as interstate sales at 2% against Form C. And additional accounting entries, whereas you have created CST at 2%. That is, you will create under duties and taxes ledger. So type of calculation, you need to take on VAT rate. So value basis will automatically capture 2%. Rounding method, normal rounding. So press enter. Now once we have done the CST voucher class, we'll go to sales voucher type. F8 is the sales. Here you are getting the class called CST. So what we will do, we will select CST, name of the item, so 250 numbers at the rate of 1000 rupees, which is 2,50,000. CST is automatically getting calculated in Tally. 5,000 rupees at 2%, whereas it is showing automatically. So like this, you can create default class voucher type, default classes in the voucher type to create a CST. You would have observed while making the invoice, the prompted CST at 2%, whatever the ledger we have created, it is automatically prompted. And I will take you through one more option in Tally. Before we end this long session with some advanced reporting, let us look at some other useful features which are available in Tally. There are many configurations to activate capabilities. We will touch on a few of them and we will show how it will be useful. So most of the customers are asking for serial numbers to create in Tally. So we have an option in Tally where we need to enable use additional descriptions for item name in F12 configuration. When you go to inventory info, stock items, here you create a stock item as item 1 and you have in F12 configuration use additional description for item name. So when you go to sales invoice, F8, so here we have an option in F12 configuration in the invoice, use additional description of item name. When you set this option to yes, once enabled, Tally prompts you to enter the additional information like serial numbers. Now we will see, for example, you have an item here. When you select an item, automatically the display box is prompted where you can fill the serial numbers for the particular item. So once you enable the serial number, it will be shown under the item name. You can specify the quantity and save the transaction. You would have observed that while making the invoice, you are prompted to change, accept the configuration, use default for bill allocation also. Now Tally will fill the bill references based on the references, credit dates, whatever you have selected. Now, important reports we are going to discuss in Tally. We will briefly touch on some commonly used and very useful reports for the business before we end this session. So, once we have done all the sales process, we will go to display, account books, sales register. So, in the sales register, we have a monthly wise sales. So once if you press enter, it will list all your sales vouchers. So you have to go from gateway of Tally, display, account book, sales registers. Here you will press just F7. F7 is the key to show the profit. Once you press F7, it is showing the transaction value. Transaction value is nothing but your gross sales plus your tax component. Both will put together, it will show as a transaction value. And the gross revenue. Gross revenue is nothing but the purely sale value. And cost. Cost is nothing but as on the date, whatever is the cost it is available in the product in Tally, that is cost into that particular day quantity will give you the cost of goods sold and gross profit. Gross profit is nothing but your sales minus cost will give you the profit. So this is the one of the important report which all the people to start your business, you need to check your sales as well as your gross revenue, how much is the cost of the goods sold, and what is the gross profit and what is the gross profit percentage. The same report you can navigate through display, statement of accounts, statistics. Here again you have a sales. Once you click here, you will navigate through the same report where you can press F7. So two ways to navigate to come to the sales register. Now this is the profitability related to invoice-wise profitability. Now we will go through item-wise profitability. Item-wise profitability will identify you most profitable items and the least ones. So to navigate to this report, one has to go from gateway of Tally, press stock summary report. Once you press the stock summary report, F5. F5 is for the item wise. It will list, if you have created groups, it will list as a stock groups. Once you press F5, it will list as a item wise. And F7 is the button to show the consumption and gross profit. So this is item wise. As on that day, whatever is your item and the value of that particular item, consumption and gross profit. That these profit figures are gross profits since the expenses and overheads have not been considered in this particular report. It is purely item-wise profitability. Now, one more very important powerful summary statement of any stock item is stock query. So to navigate to stock query, one has to go to display, statements of inventory, stock query, item. Any item you can select here. Stock query will show the volume of the information based on your cost price, your costing method, your standard selling price, and whatever the market valuation method you have selected. It will list the top 5 purchases and top 5 sales based on the godowns and batches based on the stock category. The same report you can navigate from sales invoice. Once you go to sales invoice, F8, here just press Alt S. Alt S will take you to the stock query. You can navigate the stock query report in 2 ways. One, you can go to statements of inventory, directly go to the menu stock query, or directly from the sales invoice. If you want to see the report of stock query item wise, you can check by going to accounting voucher mode. Similarly, at the time of making a transaction, it might be helpful to know which other items are available in the same inventory group or category. You can navigate pulling up the stock query to get this information in the middle of the transaction, which is very valuable to the business. So till now we have covered all the topics related to sales advance process. So whereas selling prices, actual and billed quantity, multi-buyer addresses, common ledger, default ledger, and voucher class. How to create a voucher class with VAT and CST, and very important reports to navigate in Tally. So thank you. Hope the session is very informative to everyone. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.